Hello everybody and welcome to another exciting video here at Playing Board Games. Today I have 6 dirty fighting deck ideas. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. This is a new format I'm testing out here. So any thoughts on how the format is structured is totally good. But I have 6 decks that were kind of like me theory crafting around Dirty Fighting. Dirty Fighting is an awesome new card from the Scarlet Keys, and probably my personal choice for favorite card in the box. I think it's a really cool card, and there's a lot of space to kind of explore with it. And I'm hopeful and optimistic that in the future of the game, there is even more space to explore. So there are 6 deck lists down below, and as I said that this is a work in progress as I'm trying to figure out how to best do this format. It might not be actually deck lists, it might be like just kind of like theory crafting decks, like just giving key cards. But for this one I have 6 decks and we're going to talk about them, but you can follow at your own pace down in the description. So let's dive in with our first deck, which is going to be Finn Edwards Loves to Fight Dirty. So the big thing about dirty fighting is that it is usually requiring you to fight. You can, of course, parlay and evade, but those are kind of like fringe cases, right? Like the evading works well for Kaimani, but we're not going to be talking about Kaimani in this video. So just spoiler alert there. The parlaying certainly has its uses, but most commonly dirty fighting is going to be used on the namesake itself to fight dirty. And that's what Finn, I think why we're starting with him, because Finn just fights really well. Finn has the stat line of 4 book, 3 fist, and 4 foot, which means that he's already very good at evading with his ability, but his fight number isn't bad, and dirty fighting is like built for that rogue fight value, where your number's really low, and you want to like make it better. So to fight, we have the 25 automatics and the Mausers in this deck. The 25 automatic works particularly well with dirty fighting because you actually get 2 fight actions. You get 1 on the dirty fighting reaction and then 1 on the 25 automatic. So for not really taking an actual action, using Finn's free evade, you get to fire blat blat into an enemy, which is really cool. Dissection tools are here to put up both our fist and our foot. I built and played a Finn deck that was recently like this, and while I never actually got the dissection tools to work, I still believe that they have a place in this deck. And of course, these are just deck ideas. These are just like my theory crafting, so you can take them and do what you want with them. You can like take it in a completely different direction. These are just like what I thought I would do if I built these decks. So dissection tools, here to help that up. A trench coat is here because chat asked for it, but number 2, because we have hidden pocket, which you can see just right, second row, second from the right, which allows us to have additional hand slots, and can only hold illicit assets. So it's here we sew it into our coat or our shoes, and then we can use it to hold a gun while also still being able to hold the dissection tools. Ally of choice for this deck is Cat Burglar. Gives you the foot, which I think is relevant because we do want to be fighting. You could do Delilah in this deck. I went with Catbug though because I do think the bottom action on Catbug I think works better for Finn Edwards, because there might be times where you might not want to kill somebody yet, or you might want to get like multiple enemies in a spot to like just start blasting. It's very versatile and there's a good use for it. Spoiler alert, each one of these decks are going to have 2 copies of Dirty Fighting, so that's why that here. 2 copies of Pickpocketing 2 to turn our free action into more cards or resources, or both. Wow. Track shoes, put our foot up, running 2 of them. Normally I only run 1 of them in Finn. I did do 2 in this deck though, because we want to make sure we have something that our hidden pocket will be sewn into. I'll take that. It allows us to play item assets. It's an economy card. Whenever we evade or investigate, 2 things that we are going to be doing with Finn, because this Finn has 4 books, so he'll be able to just do it in his downtime. Act of Desperation to throw an empty gun. Remember, it's not pictured here, but Finn's signature is a gun, which you can also use. Very nice. Friends in Low Places, searching illicit for our chosen trait, which notably hits a lot in Finn, a lot in this deck. It hits Hidden Pocket, Payday, it hits I'll Take That, it hits 25 automatic, the Mauser, it hits our signatures. It also hits Dirty Fighting and Pickpocketing as well. Prompt to make it fast. I really like Friends in Low Places fast. Like, I'm sure other people might not, but I really like it fast, so I chose that one. And then Experience to make us look by 3. Payday to get more resources. Swift Reload to fill up our guns because we're only running 5 guns in our deck. Hatchet Man, which is really nice in Combat Finn. And Quick Thinking to get more. So, the idea for this one's pretty simple. Finn is a very good flex, but he also can be built as a fighter, and it's a very fun deck. I had a great time playing a similar version to this deck, but just this was tweaked to be a bit more focused. All right, let's go to idea number 2, which is Dexter Drake uses magic to fight dirty. Wow. So there is actually a lot of versions of these decks going out there. So if this is a fun idea, if you want to fight dirty with Dexter Drake, check it out because there are probably a lot of variety in the builds you can find here. With this one, we're using our hand slots to evade and our spell slots to kill. So imagine there's like mists could be, you could use your spell slots to kill, your hands to, your spell slots to evade, your hands to kill. There's a lot of different ways you can go. This is the direction I went with it. So Onyx Pentacle and Sword Cane. Those are our 2 hand slot assets, which we can use to evade endlessly. And we also get to use our brain for the evade action, which is really cool. Notably about Dirty Fighting, it gets +2 skill value. And that's good, because that means we're able to fight with our brain, with Brandigathuga and Shriveling, or even with a Sword Cane, if we feel like it, and still get the bonus from it. Brandigathuga and Shriveling are our 2 spells of choice. We could be running more, but I instead opted to run 2 copies of Uncage the Soul 3, which you can see second row, second from the right. It allows us to play these cards and fill them up and get them going. They're basically an additional copy of all of our spells, which is really nice. Holy Rosary puts our brain up, gives us the Horror Soak, also gives us assets for Dexter Drake, which we want to be cycling through. Notably, Onyx Pentacle works really well for Dexter Drake because you can put Doom on it and then replace it with something else in the future. It also allows you to evade enemies at connecting locations, which is kind of fun because it then allows you to attack an enemy at an adjacent location with the Dirty Fighting reaction, which is really cool. Priest of Two Faiths. Fun card in Dexter. Also, it gives us some curse cards, which we're not really utilizing here. We could have the False Covenant in this deck, but I did not include it. Liquid Courage, Black Market to help us find more things. Liquid Courage, of course, is a cheap asset, which we can then replace and heal some horror. Black Market is just, we get to find the cards we need, or if we have the cards we have, help our friends find cards. Deny Existence, Ward of Protection, just staples. Promise of Power as well. Faustian Bargain is a very strong economy card that's here, and Quick Thinking is just really good. I think Quick Thinking is going to be in a lot of these decks. Card is just good. All right. Next one here, we got Rita Young. She is a master of fighting dirty. This was my first fighting dirty deck, was a Rita deck. Now, this one did take a different approach than what I did. I was just hitting people with a baseball bat too. In this one, it's crafty. So we're going to be using crafty to play things like tricks. Like, for example, dirty fighting's a trick. And you also get to, that's nice to pay that cheaply. But there's also Cheap Shot. Breaking and Entering, which we can use to evade while getting a clue, which will then let us attack with the Dirty Fighting, which is really sick. Quick Getaway, Sneak By, Sweeping Kick. Those are all tricks. Our weapons of choice, we have the 18 Derringers to shoot with and the Meat Cleavers, and with meat we have the Pete Cleaver, as it's called, because we also have Pete Sylvester, because that allows us to put the horror from the Meat Cleaver onto Pete Sylvester, which is super sick. And then we also have Track Shoes to run faster. Look what I found, because the card is just good and lets us do something on turns when there's not enemies. At a Crossroads, it's going to help us find these cards, right? Because you always want to find the cards. Like, if a deck is built around Dirty Fighting, you want to find a way to make sure you can get Dirty Fighting, and At a Crossroads will allow us to do that a bit easier. Lucky's just good. And then Easy Mark also allows us to sneak by some resources while also turning into an attack action because of the Dirty Fighting. That's kind of like the value. Same with Quick Getaway, right? Like, Rita has that built-in bonus where when she evades, she gets to deal damage or move. So Dirty Fighting just further compounds that and makes it even better. And Quick Getaway, obviously, just if you get to stop an attack, but also deal damage from that attack is really cool. Like, these cards, if they have Dirty Fighting in play, basically get like an additional line of text that says also attack an enemy. And then we have Sweeping Kick as well, which is just a really nice one. This Rita is pretty damn good at playing dirty fighting. It allows her to attack at 7 most of the time, right? Like, it lets you attack at 7 with the Derringer, 7 with the Meat Cleaver. You know, it's just, it's very nice and very fun with Rita. And then also, like, if you don't have the dirty fighting, Rita also has the benefit where she is able to, you know, evade and solve problems. And when her kit's all made up, she's going to have 7 foot. So she's going to be evading everybody and and basically repeatedly playing, breaking and entering in cheap shot because of the crafties. Very fun. This deck would be really good. I hope you enjoy it. If this does interest you, or if you want to tweak it for your own type of thing. Okay. My last, dare I say, serious deck idea that I had with this was Skids fighting dirty. I think Skids O'Toole really enjoys dirty fighting. Skids O'Toole, he does get a bad rap. He is my least favorite investigator, and he's the investigator that I consider personally to be the weakest investigator in the game, and that mostly comes down to the fact that his hero power... I've been playing a lot of Hearthstone recently. His ability, his investigator ability, is a little bit lackluster with the current game today, right? It's just... the rate at which you can change an action for 2 resources is not really worth it anymore. His stat line doesn't help, but this uses both his foot and his fist to his advantage, and I think that these are, like I said, these first 4 are like the good ones that I think are the reasonable ones that are, like, I think not exactly shocking choices to build around. So Butterfly Swords is here because it uses our foot value. We're going to be bumping our fist and our foot value to advantage, which I think is really cool. B-Cop is going to be bumping our fist, and Delilah is going to be bumping up our fist and our foot. Just an example here. Even, like, the 2 resources we could spend on an action, most of the time can be better in Delilah because it'll kill an enemy. Right? Like, a testless kill is better than an actionless kill. Yeah? You know, if it's 2 resources either way to kill something or make a test to kill something, you're going to do the non-testless one. Right? And that's, once again, going to my point why I think, personally, Skids is a bit outclassed. Ace of Swords is a one-of to bump up our fist even more. With B-Cop and an Ace of Swords out, we're going to be having 5 fist, which is a very comfortable number. And then we're also going to be having 5 foot, which is also a very comfortable number. Of course, 2 copies of Dirty Fighting, 2 copies of Pickpocketing 2, because once again, more resources, more cards. This is also a nice way, if you have 2 of the Pickpocketing, it makes Skids' ability feel a little bit less bad, because if you evade an enemy, you get your 2 resources, you can take another action, which is really nice. Charisma, because we want to have B-Cop and Delilah in at the same time optimally. Glory is going to help us find cards. Same with Easy Mark, which is just a few cards over. That's also here to help us find cards. Prepared for the Worst to help us find our Butterfly Swords. Reliable, this could reasonably be something else. I really like Reliable. I also really like it because it kind of does a bad impression of B-Cop and Ace of Swords, right? Where it basically gives you +1 fist for your Butterfly Swords. Yeah. Easy Mark Economy, Sweeping Kick is going to be here. It evades. It's good. And you're going to be able to attack at 7, which is a very good number. Hatchet Man, again, I said this one was going to be here. Again, it's just really good for this combo with Dirty Fighting. And then 2 overpowers, a Savant to give Skids a little bit of help in the brain department. And then Vicious Blow here to... deal more damage when we do deal damage. When I was building these decks on my Twitch stream, Stu Dunsparks, one of our viewers, said that the Skids card pool is great, and I agree. Skids card pool is great. I actually think this would be a very, very fun deck to play, and I'm going to try it out myself. I'm hoping to. I play a lot of Arkham, but I also don't play enough Arkham, which is kind of funny to say. But I hope that, like, this is like, if you never thought about building a Dirty Fighting Skids deck, you should give it a shot. Because I think that you might need to, like, change it. You should definitely change it to be what your own style is. Because, once again, these are just, like, deck ideas for you to get, like, a starting point. Where we're just, like, different approaches to how an investigator can approach Dirty Fighting, even with, like, the same sort of card pool. But I think the Skids one is really cool. Now, those were the 4 straightforward ideas. Let's get to what I think are the 2 kind of more out there ideas, and let's give them a look. So first one here is, Even politicians fight dirty. Charlie Kane. Ones across the boards, but he can exhaust his allies to get stats. So we're going to start with our allies, right? Catbug gives you +1 foot. Taps for 2 when you want to evade. Delilah gives you fist and foot. Taps for 2 when you want to evade or fight. Miss Doyle. She comes with a cat that lets you evade or fight. And she also taps for 2 when we want to do the things. Priest of Two-Face adds tokens, taps for 2 when we want to evade. Stray Cat taps for 2 when we want to evade, but also lets us evade for free. And then Tristan Botley, who taps for 2, but notably also gives +2 to 2 of our skills. For example, Foot and Fist. Also potentially can come into play free. So those are our allies in this deck. And then we fight with a bunch of fun things. Baseball bats, derringers, knuckle dusters, just because the idea is funny in my head. Notably, we actually could run off color. Like every every ally in this deck is on color for our choice of Christmas, green and red. We could run others. I didn't include any. Like you could feasibly run B-Cop, but I actually like Catbug and Delilah a lot in this one. But there's tons of other options that you can look with as well. I like the idea of fighting with a Knuckle Duster. I do think it's probably not the best choice, but we have a lot of soak, and I think it's just kind of like the fun choice. But that could be something else that, is like even, yeah, there's probably tons of choices. Even like the Mauser is probably better. But I just wanted to do Knuckle Duster Charlie Kane here. He fights dirty. Like he has his Derringer, his Knucks on. He hits with a baseball bat. I really love it. Token of Faith is to put the curse tokens we're having the cup to turn them into blessed tokens. Make it more likely for Tristan Botley to potentially come out. We are running the False Covenant, which I just think fits really nicely here. Calling in Favors helps us get allies out and healed to then replace them with allies from our deck. Faustian's Economy. Tempt Fate basically doesn't exist. It just replaces itself with a card and puts in some tokens. Expeditious Retreat, which is really nice, especially with Charlie's ability because he gets those bonuses from exhausting allies on everything. And then Rise to the Occasion and Take Hearts for Economy. Rise to the Occasion is a nice little panic button that we can press. This one also seems really fun. I have actually yet to play Charlie Kane. And I don't know what I'm going to do for my first Charlie Kane, but this is my second Charlie Kane deck I built. And Charlie is just, he seems like a great investigator. All right, last deck we have here. This deck is probably bad. When I was coming up with a list of everyone to build with, I was like, how can we do Leo in this? And everyone wanted me to do Leo, so we did. But Leo has 1 foot. However, Leo has this really weird ability in his card pool to tap into green. This is going to sound wild, okay? He taps into green cards that evade with brain. Wild. So that's where the blur and suggestion is, middle of the top row. Blur lets us evade with our brain when we get +1 skill value. So we evade a 5. Suggestion allows us to add our brain to our evasion attempt. Is it good? No. Is it fun? Probably, right? This deck really relies on dirty fighting, so that's why you can see in the Friends in Low Places why we have it illicit, because it finds all 3 of our weapons, so we have 6 weapons in our deck. It has all of our weapons, and it also will find dirty fighting, which I think is really nice. Now, of course, if we don't find Blur, Suggestion, or Bolus, or Sweeping Kick, how do we evade? And the answer to that is we don't, but we still just shoot with our gun, or priority number 1 is stab with the Switchblade. I think this deck really needs Switchblade to, go to the moon. So that should be, priority number 1 if I had to wager. Excuse me. Brother Xavier gives us brain, but also soaks a bunch and deals damage. Notably, he is the only ally in the deck, so you might be thinking, why are you playing Leo Anderson if you don't have more allies? And my response to that is, why am I playing Leo Anderson with dirty fighting when I only have 1 foot? And the answer to both of those are probably because I'm memeing it up. I'm having some fun. But maybe this will be like, can I make Leo work? You might be thinking of yourself, and it might inspire you to try something a bit crazy. I have a 1 of Ace of Swords. This was originally 2 sweeping kicks, but I changed it to a 1 Ace of Swords, 1 sweeping kick, because I think this Ace of Swords would be really nice for helping, you know, like make Switchblade more reliable. Dirty Fighting, of course. Bolus allows us to evade using our fist instead of our foot. Easy Mark gives us resources, and also lets us draw cards, which is good because we want to be digging. Faustine is economy, because, you know, our guns are kind of expensive. 25 automatic is 4, Mauser is 3, Brother Xavier costs 4 for Leo, right? And then we have Friends in Low Places, once again, experience, look at the top 3. 1 a sweeping kick, Overpower to help Leo, Defensive Stance, which was some hot tech suggested by chat, where we get to add, we get either fist icons equal to our foot, so we can get 1 fist icon, or we get foot icons equal to our fist. You know, we can just evade. We can evade it at 5. Or 6 if the Ace of Swords is out. And then 2 Vicious Blows because more damage is a good thing. Okay, those were 6 Dirty Fighting deck ideas. As I said, this is a format that I hope to constantly be evolving as we explore it, maybe with Travis and Bryn, maybe just with myself. But if you want to see like how different approaches can be taken, like if you don't want decks, but you'd rather have like investigators with some key cards, let me know, because I can approach that. As always with this kind of content, I love to shape it with what like the community feels is best. So let me know your suggestions. And also, if you have any Dirty Fighting deck ideas that we did not see here, or even like we here but like dug deep, like we dug differently, or like tried with different approaches, let me know in the comments, please. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Have a good one. And as always, huge thank you to our patrons, huge thank you to yous, and GG's.